This video explores an optimistic perspective on how the role of labor could evolve in an increasingly AI-driven economy. For businesses and professionals alike, understanding this shift is essential to staying competitive and relevant. We will begin by unpacking the fundamental economic theory behind labor markets and then apply it to the age of AI with the help of a practical case study. In a traditional capitalist economy, value is created by combining land, labor, and capital. Profits from this value creation are distributed according to the relative bargaining power of employees who contribute labor and shareholders who own land and capital. While companies can choose what salaries to offer, they must compete for a limited pool of skilled labor. If wages are too low, workers simply go elsewhere. This dynamic tends to, on average, maintain relatively fair compensation levels. The technical details on why this happens are outside the scope of this video, but the key point is that limited access to labor and the value of this labor allows employees to have bargaining power, which in turn results in relatively fair wages. Put simply, people have bargaining power because they are needed and not easily replaced. The elephant in the room, however, is what happens when AI can replace human labor. The first thing that we need to be careful of is making the assumption that replacement is a simple linear process. While it is clear that AI can replace some forms of human labor, this doesn't mean that we should assume that all forms of human labor will be replaced anytime soon, or even ever. The ever is a tricky part, and this video isn't going to try to guarantee anything. Instead, it just aims to show that complete human replacement isn't a given. Let's consider an example of two companies, Company A and Company B, which are competing in the same industry. Initially, both Company A and Company B employ 10 workers each. Neither is making excess profits, just standard returns, say 8% on capital. Then, a new AI system becomes available that can automate half the work. Company A adopts the AI, reduces its workforce, and cuts costs. With lower operating expenses, it increases its profits and undercuts competitors on price. Company B, unable to match these prices or adapt quickly enough, begins to lose customers and eventually shuts down. Company A is now highly profitable, but its success attracts new competition. Company C enters the market, also using AI to reduce labor costs. To gain market share, this new company undercuts Company A on price and a price war begins. Eventually, both companies are forced to lower their prices to the point where they return to normal profit levels, the minimum return that justifies staying in business. This re-establishes a competitive equilibrium, albeit with fewer employees than before. But the story does not end there. Company C, seeking ways to differentiate itself, realizes it can provide more value by reintegrating human workers. It hires a few of the previously laid-off employees, not to perform the same tasks as before, but to work alongside the AI systems. For example, junior developers might assist in reviewing model architecture, gathering data, or verifying AI outputs for accuracy and tone. In this model, AI is fast and inexpensive, but human input is more nuanced and trustworthy. These hybrid workflows allow Company C to offer higher quality products or services. As a result, it raises prices and earns higher profits. Meanwhile, company A begins to lose market share to this enhanced offering. To remain competitive, it also reinvests in human labor. As competition for labor intensifies, salaries begin to rise again. Eventually, the market reaches a new equilibrium, one where AI is widely used, but humans continue to play a critical role, albeit in different, often more skilled capacities. This is actually the same reason why technology that helped us with farming and manufacturing hasn't caused long-term unemployment. Tools get better, but somehow the to-do list never gets shorter. Sound familiar? As technology replaces one job, in the long run, businesses allocate workers to newer, higher-level tasks. Once we look past the enormous marketing hype of the AI industry and we go from science fiction to looking at the reality on the ground, we see this trend repeating itself. An argument could be made that things will be different in the future, but the point of this video is to show that this is not necessarily what is happening right now. At least in my experience, what we see is that with these tools we can do more, but along with doing more come more challenges. For each automation that we implement, we get ideas for multiple new processes that we want to add. These new processes come with their own challenges. If we then solve those challenges with, for example, automation, more opportunities open up and so on. It's like playing whack-a-mole with progress. Close one gap and two new ones pop up. The focus might shift from one part of operations to another, but as any good business owner knows, there's always something to improve, and where there's room for improvement, there's work to be done. As we add more automation, there are also more things that can go wrong and that need maintenance, which is somewhat ironically, unfortunately, a lot of work. For our case study, we are going to build multiple agents. These agents will communicate with each other to try to solve tasks. As we build this, we will see how even as multiple agents start to replace different parts of a workflow, the role of human oversight doesn't diminish. Instead, it evolves to address new challenges. In total, we will build 5 agents. A profile agent that passes raw client data into structured data. A planning agent that drafts an initial onboarding plan. A critique agent that reviews and improves the plan before passing it along. A document agent that uses the improved plan to generate a welcome email. And finally, a support agent that answers user onboarding questions based on the final plan. In this setup, human experts focus on exception handling and personalized consultations, activities that require judgment, empathy, and strategic thinking. They handle edge cases, clarify ambiguous requests, and make nuanced decisions that require understanding context beyond what current AI can reliably process. With agents handling repetitive tasks, humans transition to the less labor-intensive but more strategically important role of reviewing outputs and deciding what initiatives deserve attention next. The goal shifts from manual execution to strategic oversight and relationship building. This represents an efficiency gain requiring less labor for equivalent output, even while the system remains far from fully autonomous. Competitive companies would now allocate any excess employee time towards higher value activities, such as looking for new clients, refining AI guidelines, or building deeper customer relationships. Initially, enhanced customer service might be optional, allowing some companies to simply reduce costs. However, as competitors begin offering personalized support, such services may become industry standards that clients expect, thus making them necessities for all companies. This shows that with current AI models, even if we build relatively advanced technical solutions, such as ones where multiple agents collaborate, this does not mean that anyone has to lose their job. It might just mean that people need to adjust to higher level tasks. Nevertheless, an advantage of a higher level job is that the employee might add more value per hour of work and thus be able to negotiate a higher salary. There is still a lot of uncertainty regarding which tasks LLM-based systems are well suited for and which are still better handled by humans. Those technical details are beyond the scope of this video. However, this discussion should at least show that with the current technology, job losses are not strictly inevitable. To conclude, we saw that even for companies at the forefront of innovation, competition acts as a great equalizer, bringing both profits and wages back to sustainable levels. The tools may change, but the fundamentals of economic adaptation remain. For entrepreneurs and developers, this perspective suggests tremendous opportunities to build applications that augment rather than replace human capabilities. The future might not belong to those who can build the most automated systems, but rather to those who can create the most effective human-AI partnerships. Whether you are developing on our platform or elsewhere, consider how your innovations can enhance human potential rather than simply reducing human involvement.